This is CNN, a network of Turner Broadcasting System.
Welcome to Futurewatch. I'm Marianne Laughlin. Feeling a little crowded lately? Chances are you're not. Not yet. But demographers, the people who count, catalog, and categorize the rest of us, say the world is on the way to becoming a very crowded place in the next century, at least in some places. It's time, they say, to slow down the rate of population growth while there's still time to do the job. CNN's David George reports it's not an easy job to do.
It has taken since the beginning of time for the world's population to reach its present level, 5.25 billion. By the end of the 21st century, in little more than 100 years, it will double.
Worldwide, we're adding about 1 billion people every 10 or 12 years, which really is a fantastic rate, particularly when you consider we've been around for hundreds of thousands of years.
There's going to be a population explosion. It won't be one big boom, but a series of little demographic time bombs. So-called developed regions, North America, the Soviet Union, Europe, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand, will remain relatively stable. The developing countries will continue to develop.
Virtually all of this new growth are in the third world countries. So we're faced with a situation where we're seeing all the growth in the areas that can afford it the least.
Places like tiny Bangladesh with 100 million people, most of them desperately poor. Demographers say only widespread family planning or a famine can prevent Bangladesh's population from tripling by the end of the 21st century. In Africa, south of the Sahara, where there's famine already, some of the world's highest birth rates more than compensate for infant mortality rates that are also among the highest on Earth. AIDS has taken a terrible toll among the region's adults. Even so, at the rate things are going, countries like Kenya, Zambia, and Zimbabwe will double their populations in less than 20 years. It'll take a quarter century or less to double the number of people living in more than 24 poor countries in southern Asia. Most of the new faces, despite being caught in a vicious cycle of poverty perpetuated by overpopulation, will live their entire lives in the countries where they were born.
Many demographers don't really see very large migrations occurring in the future. In fact, many third world countries are beginning to expel foreigners and to patrol their borders, something they never did before. Large migrations don't seem to be the answer. It looks as if each country is going to have to face its problems on its own.
But immigration actually, may be the answer for countries where the problem is not too many people, but too few. Scandinavia, another half-dozen European countries on both sides of the Iron Curtain, and Greece have virtually stopped growing. West Germany and Hungary are actually losing population. There are more deaths each year than births in those countries. Family planning is widely practiced throughout Europe. Even largely Roman Catholic Italy has zero population growth and the lowest birth rate in the world. Some developed countries may have to encourage immigration just to keep their economies alive.
I think many European countries now are beginning to come to grips with that idea, that if they are going to fill their labor force, that they may well have to change age-old policies against allowing large numbers of foreigners to enter.
And that will mean changes in age-old ethnic balances, changes that are already taking place. In the United States, Hispanics have become the dominant population group in Miami, San Antonio, and El Paso. There are more blacks than whites in Atlanta, Baltimore, Detroit, and New Orleans. Blacks are outnumbered by Asians in San Francisco and by Hispanics in Los Angeles. There promises to be a new mix in the melting pot in the 21st century. Change is also brewing in the Soviet Union, never so much a melting pot as a cook's pantry of ethnic ingredients. The country with the largest area in the world is home to as many as 400 separate nationalities and languages. Even the government isn't sure how many. Predictions are ethnic Russians, now the majority in the Soviet Union, soon may find themselves outnumbered by citizens of the country's 14 other republics. The leading U.S. expert on Soviet demographics says soaring birth rates and a growing social awareness on the part of Soviets outside Russia will prompt Moscow to cede some responsibility for consumer production to local authorities in the 21st century, while retaining control of military and foreign affairs. Whatever happens, the Soviet system faces major problems.
Principally in the area of prices, principally in the area of convertibility of rubles, in the area of productivity, in the area of consumer goods distribution, and on and on and on, agriculture, energy, etc. The list is very long.
Early in this decade, a Japanese government report listed the graying of the population as one of the three major challenges facing Japan in the 21st century. On September 15th, Japan will celebrate a holiday honoring the country's elderly, who are expected to account for a quarter of the population by the year 2020. In the United States, predictions are the number of Americans over 65 will double to more than 20% of the population by 2030. By the same year, the number of Americans over 85 will have tripled. Demographers say the strain put on public and private resources by growing numbers of senior citizens is a challenge facing both the U.S. and Japan in the 21st century. David George, CNN, Futurewatch.
The United Nations will spend more than $170 million this year charting the world's population and trying to curb population growth.